У вас не было полномочий. Никаких. Мехико-Сити? Что вы там делали?
So this is your second James Bond movie, and it's also a second James Bond movie made by Sэмom Mendesom. I was wondering if you enjoyed working with Sam, and also do you think he brought something new to the franchise, something it didn't have before?
Yeah, first of all, I've known Sam for a bit. I worked many years ago in the theatre. I worked with Sam, and he invited me into the franchise for the last film, setting me up as the new M. Sam likes actors, he collaborates with actors. What was unusual about this process, especially for a big budget movie like this, in a well-worn theme, Bond films, Sam invited the actors to work with one of the writers, Jez Butterworth, to critique and to discuss our dialogue, to make it better. Daniel, of course, was there, I was there, Ben Whishaw. So Sam is interested in what actors have to say about the script, the scenes. Most films I've worked on, in the morning when you rehearse, it's bistra, quick, we need to work. And this is like, Sam is very calm, okay, maybe you sit there, I'm not sure. He has this film has the luxury of time, which was good, because you can start to feel you're in the center of a scene and you're sitting, you know, your instincts are allowed to have a voice.
I absolutely love working with Sam because he comes from this, you know, theatre background and an indie film background as well. So it means that his focus really is a lot more on character and personal relationships. And I think that's incredibly important, and that adds a huge deal to the franchise, because it's great to have all the incredible action scenes that we have in the movie, the spectacle of the whole thing, people love that. But if it's not anchored in true relationships and great characters, then I think people would get bored. You know, the heart and soul of the movie has to be the characters and their relationships, and that's Sam's focus, so he's a genius at that.
I think Sam's very clever. He has a very good sense of narrative drive. He has a very good sense of character progression. So I think this film has a sort of foundation in terms of character, and there's this added sort of possibly more complex theme of surveillance and the importance of digital surveillance for security services or not. So it has a current theme in it. I think he's grounded the films given them a little bit more weight, a little bit more character substance than perhaps previously, and I think that's a good thing.
You said you were allowed to criticize the script, so did you actually criticize it?
Yes, there was the first scene in the office. Some of the dialogue I had in the first draft that I looked at, I thought was not good, and I said so. We just adjusted. It was expressions or phrases or things that I was saying or that just felt a bit stupid for M to say.
As far as I know, this is the last James Bond movie with Daniel Craig as 007. If he's gone, will you be interested in staying with the franchise as M? Absolutely.
I want to be instrumental in finding the new Bond, if there is one.
If Daniel is leaving, are you interested in staying with the franchise as Miss Moneypenny?
Well, nobody knows what's going to happen with Daniel, and the reason, Daniel, I don't know if you know, he has a producing credit in the movie, so he stays with the movie for 2 years in pre-production, and he's a huge part of the script development and all of the things that go on behind the scenes to make the movie what it is. Then he works on the movie it's 8 months that they shot, and then he does pretty much all of his action sequences unless the insurance company won't allow him to do it. So I think, it's been a great deal of time that he's been working incredibly hard. I think he needs a break, and then he can decide whether he'll come back. But I really hope he does, because I would definitely love to come back, but ideally with Daniel.
Do you have any good candidates for 007?
No, lots of names have been mentioned. I don't know who it is. I think if Daniel decides to finally leave the role, I think they should find someone quite young, surprisingly young, and make a story of the new Bond. Usually, when the new Bonds have come in, they're just Bond already. And my suggestion, and they may not listen, is that it should be the story of how the new James Bond becomes the next Bond. You know, he's young, he has to test himself, something like this. You know.
What is your favorite James Bond movie ever? And please don't name the last two movies. I guess you love them, but
No, I don't. I actually like.
oh,
I like them, but I'm afraid I like From Russia with Love. And I'm not saying it because I'm sitting here in Russia. I'm saying it because it's one of the closest to the books. I think Sean Connery is more inside the role than he was in Dr. No. I think I like this Istanbul background, and for me, the series hits its stride, but it's still innocent. It doesn't yet know. The Bond producers don't know that they're sitting on a huge 5-decade successful franchise, and so I like it.
I loved Casino Royale, and I loved it because it was the first time Daniel appeared, and for me he has been the best Bond. And the reason why I think he's been the best Bond is because he adds an emotional element to it. It was the first time I cried at a Bond movie. I'd never cried at a Bond movie before. I mean, I'd loved the sceneries and, you know, thought it was amazing action scenes and what have you, but I'd never been touched emotionally, and that was the first time in Casino Royale.
what was that special scene that made you cry? If it's
In Casino Royale?
Yeah.
I think there was the shower scene when Ava Green, you know, Vesper Lynd, as her name is in the film, she's in the shower and she's trying to wash herself because she still has the stench of blood. She can still smell it. And then Daniel takes her fingers and he licks them clean. And he's like, I've got the blood on me now. I just thought it was so beautiful, so romantic.
What do you think about the theme song from this movie? Sam Smith's writings on the wall, as far as I remember. I heard it was quite controversial because many fans didn't like it at all.
I think you're right, many people didn't like it because they didn't hear it in the context of the movie. And I think now that people are seeing the movie and hearing the song in that context, they're absolutely loving it. And the fact that it went to #1 shows that people love it.
Do you think we are going to see any Russian villains in Bond franchise anytime soon? I'm asking because the world is basically going through another Cold War right now, so it kind of makes sense.
Well, I can see what you're saying. I think it would be a pity to confirm the old cliches of West versus Russia, and I think it would be interesting if, in fact, we found the opposite number in Russia, who are the James Bond of Russia, and perhaps instead of being enemies, they found a way to collaborate, or maybe they started off with an antagonism and then. But I think for me, this has been done. You know, this has been done before. I feel I've seen movies where there's the cliche Russian bad guy, and I think it would be, for me, boring to see that again.
Ben, you're obviously crazy, Mr.
Bond. James.